So welcome everybody. I know it's been a bit of a crazy couple of days. So yesterday was very much information overload. So today is a little bit more fun, a little more interactive, and we want to hear your voice and get your input as much as possible. And we're going to go around, do some introductions. So first of all, I am Sandra. I met some of you yesterday, but I am an Access Advisor in Maynooth University Access Programme, and I am also a community and youth worker. So I work with communities across Ireland, and more focused on like places like Jobstown, Ballyfermot, which I am a proud born and bred Jobstown person. So I will work with a lot of communities, a lot of young people who've had fewer opportunities around equality, inclusion, interculturalism, and just having people like embrace who they are and embrace that identity. I'm going to pass you over to Sam so he can introduce himself.
Perfect. My name's Sam Blankensee. I'm the Equality Officer in what we are now calling the EDI office, so the Equality, Diversity, Inclusion and Interculturalism office. I use they or he pronouns because that tends to be how I introduce myself. I came to Maynooth, I started in Maynooth in 2020, so I've had a very interesting start to my time in Maynooth, and delighted to be here this morning, and it's always great to speak with students and get your ideas and input into what you think our office should be doing and how we can make Maynooth better.
Pass you over to Gemma.
Thank you, Sandra. Hi, everybody. My name is Gemma Irvine. I'm the Vice President for Equality and Diversity at Maynooth University. And you may be able to tell my accent is from New Zealand. That's where I did my PhD in neuroscience before coming to Ireland to work as a research fellow trying to solve Alzheimer's disease. I am first in my family to graduate from university, and I moved to Maynooth University in 2019 into this role and work very closely with Rose Ryan and Sandra and all of the team in the Access office. So delighted to be here with you today.
So today what we're going to do is we're going to go over, we're definitely going to embrace, like we really would strongly encourage you to just give us as much kind of your thoughts and how you are. But in Maynooth University, and especially in the MAP Access office, what we're trying to do is create that sense of community, right? We're trying to create that sense of, these are our people, everybody, we are our people, right? We are all each other's people and all each other's team. And no matter background doesn't, we embrace backgrounds, we embrace diversity, but we also know perspectives is very different from everybody. So we want to hear from everybody, and what we try to do at Maynooth is embrace everybody's perspective and be as inclusive as everybody. So I'm just, these are our people, Sam's my people, Gemma's my people, but we all come from very diverse backgrounds. So what we want to do is kind of just put it across to you that that's what Maynooth is. That's what that's what I identify as Maynooth is, and I am a Maynooth graduate. I did my master's in Maynooth University, so it's always been something that's really important and passionate of mine to let everybody know that this is the kind of inclusive community that we are trying to create, and a part of that is very much is getting people's input on what they think inclusion is and diversity is and how much it's embraced with the people we work with. So Sam is going to take you through a little interactive space, and then I'll facilitate throughout the conversation. So he's going to explain what we're going to do next.
Perfect. So I'm going to place a link in the chat. Now, you should be able to see this screen here when you get into that link. So if anyone can click on that now, if you get completely lost, don't worry, say things out loud, use the chat. This is a tool that we can use to speak with each other if people don't feel like speaking out loud or you prefer to use this style. It's not the only style. So we're going to be using. So if you want to all click on this blue arrow that you can see my thing here, you'll see that it brings you to how to follow somebody around the board. So what you can do is you can click on this little kind of number here up on your top right, and you'll be able to find my name somewhere. It'll be SB, and you can click on me and click that you want to follow me. Probably the easiest way to get through the next couple of minutes at least, because it means you don't get lost. But so that's just how you follow people around the board. Now, this arrow is not working. So if you want to, using your keypad, press the down arrow, you'll get to the next bit, which is how to use a sticky note. So to use a sticky note, you click this icon on your left side, and then you click on the board to place it anywhere. So if everyone wants to just try that out, I just bring stuff back. Some of this is locked, some of it's not. That's great. It seems like everyone's getting that. And then if you want to, again, if you can follow me, that's probably the easiest way. And then you'll see up here is, I'm going to bring everyone to me. Up here is how you move around the board. So you can hold the space bar and click, and that'll allow you to drag around. And so that way you're not moving anything around the board, because there's definitely some things you're going to want to put in the same place. Then zooming in and out. So if you center the screen on that piece of small text, you can either use your plus and minus keys on your keyboard, read the message, or you can use the scroll wheel on your mouse if you've got a mouse. And that's how you use the board. It's not a particularly difficult tool, but it's definitely easier when you've gone through those pieces. Does anyone have any questions on kind of that part of the of Miro? Because that's all you're going to need to do is use sticky notes and move and scroll in and out. That's all we're going to be asking you to do. Okay. I'm going to bring everyone.
And also, I just want to remind people that if they don't want to use the Miro board, that's okay too. You can actually just unmute yourself on the mic and just speak out, and we will capture it on the Miro board or in the chat so we can put it in later. Because I know, I would not be able to follow Sam, so I will use my voice.
Yeah, and to be honest, this is one of the ways that we can communicate. And for some people, this is going to make a lot of sense. For other people, this is way too techie for them. So whichever one you are, it's absolutely perfect. Okay, so I'm going to bring us down to our brainstorm part here. So you can click on the blue arrow and you bring it down. But I will also bring everyone to me, because that is the easiest way to make sure. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to just go through it just once more. So there is an app for your phone if you wanted to get it, but at the same time you may be better off using the chat. So it'll be up to you. Yeah, most people are guests. I shouldn't be a guest and Gemma shouldn't be a guest, but most people on this will be guests. But you can even just follow it as it is on the screen. It's called Miro, so it's M-I-R-O.
And everything that goes into this, like you will see guest. So the only names you should see is probably myself, Sam, and Gemma. And so whatever you put it in there, we're just asking people to be positive. Remember, this is a positive space. So positive words, positive affirmations. But what I want you to do is kind of just take a couple of seconds, you can just reflect for, say, 20 seconds. And I want you to really bring yourself into what comes to your mind when we talk about equality, diversity, inclusion, and that word interculturalism? So what comes up to you? And again, you can put it on your sticky note. You can use the chat function. You can also unmute yourself and speak about it. So what are you thinking about equality, diversity, inclusion, and interculturalism? And I want you to also, if you can, like really bring yourself into those words, right? So what does it mean? What does it sound like? What does it look like? Because sometimes we talk about equality and they're like, oh, that means like there's equal amount of men and women, right? Or we're all here from different backgrounds, but actually it could mean so much more to other people. So I always focus on the language and the sound of what equality looks like. And diversity, really bring yourself into opening it up. What does it sound like? What's the words that comes to you? And really, what does it mean for you when somebody says, oh yeah, this is a diverse community. This is a diverse Maynooth University. What does it look like? So I see a lot of great stuff there. The comfort, equity, equality is in there. Acceptance, great words. Millennials.
There's also a great one that says, I think about how it's an issue that should have been resolved a long time ago and how inequality is. And that's absolutely right. You'd think in this day and age we would have figured this out, but that just goes to show how deeply embedded culture can be.
Yeah. And Angela has a great one in there in the chat, and it's saying inclusion, not leaving anyone out, making them feel comfortable in any situation. Diversity means accepting and embracing any sort of difference. Really good. Karina says equity. Kindness to everyone. Oisin talks about it's the 24th century Ireland.
Allowing different people to work to their strengths and adapting to what their needs.
Yeah.
Open-mindedness.
Right one. There's another one in there that says everyone being seen as equal. Differences are what makes us all the same. That's always a good one to keep in mind. Fairness.
Can I just mention a video that I don't know if it fits in with what we're talking about here. I think it might to a certain extent. A video I was introduced to last year, Return to Teaching, and it was Parker Palmer Educating the Heart. Okay. And I just think if everyone had a look at that, that just, to me, that just speaks volumes on everything that kind of we're discussing here.
Yeah, no, I know. So it's Parker Palmer.
I think it's called Educating the Heart.
Yeah. Angela has another one there. It says everyone is different but deserves the same respect, no matter what their background is. Empathy, great word. Love empathy. And that word empathy is another one that we can probably pull apart, and in a different session I would be diving well into that empathy word, because it is about bringing ourselves into somebody else's shoes, right? Walking in somebody else's shoes and really seeing them as people and who they are. And when we do that, when we show empathy and when we really see somebody as a person and see them, on a basic level, then we bring in equality and diversity and inclusion. So we have great words there. There's one there, a pink one, Sam, that I actually can't see. Could you bring it up if somebody else?
Which one is it?
It's on the outside of the board. I just saw it on the other side.
There's one that I'm not going to show, just over there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So if you see, there's a couple of that. Everyone being seen as equal, acceptance,
Thank you.
Fairness, different communities together. And that's it. So and that's exactly what we want Maynooth to represent, because that's what it represents for us. And that fairness to everybody, you know, diversity, embracing everybody's differences and everybody's sameness, right, as well. Just embracing everything. But for in Maynooth, there is a specific place to go that, you know, we have. As we've said, yes, it's unfortunate that sometimes it's still in this day and age that we're still trying to tackle that, and the challenges that we're still trying to tackle that. And there is, but within Maynooth, we are very privileged to have a space in an office who will support that and support us in if something was a challenge was to come up to us or something was making us feel uncomfortable, and that there's an office and a place that we can go to where people are going to support that. And Gemma and Sam are going to bring you in and take you into and what that office is and how it is incorporated within Maynooth and how it works for students as they come in, and how important it is for you to know about this office, the work they do, just as it is important to know about the Access Office, just as it is important for you to know about student budgeting, because it's a vital support that's available to you, and that we want you to, you know, embrace. We also want you to be open to come into them, because they're very much a very important part of your journey, and there to support your journey in education. So if Sam and Gemma wants to bring up their presentation.
Perfect. I'm just going to stop sharing that screen. Okay, let's just make sure that I can see everyone.
There's still some stuff coming in the chat, which is great. Being seen and being heard, fantastic. Educating people of differences without othering people.
Yeah, and I think what we've tried to do is anything that was put into the chat, we've tried to also put on the board so that you're also part of the board and people can go back and look at what everyone else has said afterwards. So I guess this is Gemma, do you want to kick off, or yeah?
I'm happy to do an introduction. So like this is a combination of presentations that we would normally do. So we do a lot of work with the staff and the academics in two-way kind of conversations, and we work with yourselves as students as well. So normally we'd start introductions. My name is Gemma Irvine, my pronouns are she and her, and I'm the Vice President for Equality and Diversity. And what I also like to say is leading by example. It's much easier to see bias in somebody else than it is to see in yourself. So if I say anything that could have been said better on any of the topics that we're talking about, please feel free to call me into a conversation on EDI, because that's the only way we're going to learn. And it's much harder to kind of take that when it's yourself who's doing it, but we're the ones that create the culture that we're living in. And I love that one of the comments was educating people of differences without othering people. And a lot of people stay silent because they don't want to offend people. But what we're really trying to do as this office is bring everybody into that conversation and create that space where it's okay to talk about things that are going to make us really uncomfortable. And that's okay. The aim is not to get comfortable with everything. It's to be comfortable with being uncomfortable about all the stuff that we're going to talk about. So it's myself and it's Sam, and we're going to take you through their first slide to kind of look at what do we do in an EDI office. So the first one here is gender equality, and that is gender-based violence. So just to speak to the gender equality, you may hear something talked about Athena Swan, and this is the certification program that Maynooth University is involved in, and that we're working to get certified at bronze, silver and gold level. So it's looking at our culture, our structures, and the numbers of our people at different levels. And for example, as of December 2020, Maynooth University actually has the highest percentage of female professors at 34%. In Ireland, which is great, but we have a long way to go, and a lot of that is to do with the culture. And then Sam, I might get you to speak about the gender-based violence.
Yeah, so what you may, hopefully, you've seen some of our social media this week, and the MAP ambassadors have been key in supporting us to roll out the consent at Maynooth University work that we're doing. So as part of your induction next week, we'd hope that you take part in one of the active consent workshops being run as part of the consent at Maynooth University work. So if you find us on Twitter, we'll also put up a link after this and we'll send around these slides. We have the link to how to sign up to our workshops. And so we've got workshops at 10:30 a.m., 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. every day next week. They're about half an hour long. And what they do is they allow you to have an introduction to what consent is, sexual consent. And then there'll also be kind of follow-up to that, so you can do an active bystander session. So that will allow you to know when to intervene. If you see something happening that you think isn't right, it'll give you tools to intervene and to support others who may be going through a more difficult time. And we also have a new policy coming out in the next couple of months that's specifically looking at sexual misconduct and sexual harassment.
Thanks, Sam. So this is one pillar of our work, and under that there's quite a few different initiatives and activities that you can get involved in. Another pillar of our work is the widening participation, and this is the Maynooth Access program, so you'll be very familiar with this, and I don't need to say too much about it, only that it is another thing that Maynooth is exceptionally good at. We have a really good office and support, but we welcome that feedback, and every year we improve because of yourselves and the types of things that you see, and also how we can learn what we don't know so that we can improve on the orientation, particularly during COVID, but also as you're going to move throughout your education. Another pillar is race equality, which Sam can speak to.
Yeah, so I think, like most of Ireland, conversations around racism and race equality have really come to the fore, especially in the past year. And Maynooth University is really starting a conversation that we're really trying to bring everyone into. So we've developed a student race equality forum that is going to meet at least once a semester. And that is for anyone from minority ethnic group to take part in. And it'll be up to those students as to whether that will become wider and start engaging the rest of the student population, but I would imagine it will in the future. But anyone from the traveller community, from the Roma community, anyone from the Black community, any other people of colour, you're all very welcome to take part in that. And really it's creating a conversation about how to make Maynooth University better at speaking about race and ethnicity, and to start to tackle some of the basic societal racism that Maynooth University is also part of. And we kind of accept that we're part of society, and therefore there is going to be racism existing within the university. So this is a way of us changing that and making it better.
And one of the things that we're piloting this year amongst our office, the Access office, the library, is a reading group on race equality. And this is all inclusive, but it's very much for people who want to learn more about this so that they can engage in the conversation. So while you may not have the lived experience, you can immerse yourself in learning about what that may be like, how this has arisen, and the tools and practical things that we can actually do if we see something. So that's something that could also be expanded out to students. Our next pillar, LGBTQIA+.
So in this one, we have a staff LGBTQIA+ staff network, and then the students have a student pride society. So if you're part of the community, if you want to support the community, you can join the Pride Soc. And then we also have a gender identity and expression policy for the university. And that policy, in a nutshell, says that we expect our staff and students to respect trans people, to call everyone by the right name and pronoun, and we expect that people wouldn't be discriminated against on the grounds of their gender identity or expression. There are ways of changing your gender by self-determination in Maynooth, so you can just change your gender on your student record very easily. In terms of name change, you can go to registry once you've legally changed your name, and that's something we are constantly we're constantly updating, basically.
And then another pillar of work which has arisen more recently, and particularly in the current situation, migrants, refugees and asylum seekers. So Maynooth University has been designated as a University of Sanctuary, and this means that we've got specific scholarships available for students who are in direct provision. And we have a university committee specifically looking at that. And the supports are wraparound supports across all the different offices, like the Access Office, International Office, and the particular departments with research expertise all sit on that committee. We've also been very active in the Scholars at Risk Network. This is the staff equivalent. So as you can imagine, with the current situation in Afghanistan, there are a lot of people seeking to flee their own country. And the Scholars at Risk are a service to help matchmake universities with academics and scholars who need to leave their country. So Maynooth University just recently, in the last few weeks, has just approved a fellowship so that we will be able to host a Scholar at Risk. We host the European office. The global office is based in New York, and the Irish office is actually chaired by one of our academics. So we're very active in this space, and it very much fits with that human rights and social justice ethos of Maynooth University. And then our last pillar, disability.
I'm just going to also answer that question in the chat. So you can change your gender at any point, and a non-binary option is there. And you can change your name after you've legally changed it. So you do not need to legally change your gender in order to change it in Maynooth. The disability pillar, a lot of that is dealt with by MAP in terms of students. But we are very much working alongside them, and then also alongside buildings and estates around making the campus more accessible. So the university is currently undertaking a project to make the campus a more accessible place. And that was kind of on the back of an audit done by MSU and estates and MAP together. And so students have really inputted into what changes need to be made. It's still ongoing, but it is constantly being updated. We also have a new policy that's just coming out for our staff about the employment of people with disabilities among our staff. And because we're a public sector employer, we have to meet certain targets around percentages of staff with disabilities as well. So we are constantly improving in the numbers of people with disabilities we have on our staff.
Absolutely. And across all of these pillars, there's a number of different types of work that we do. So from a activities point of view, I see a question has just come in there. What of staff? How is the diversity tolerance, and what would happen if I experience discrimination or racist behaviour? Absolutely. And we do have a slide later on, but we can answer that now, Sam, in relation to when to come to us.
Yeah, so I mean, we're the office to come to if you experience any difficulties. So one of the, I'm going to just click onto the next piece here. One of the things we do is staff training and mentoring. And as part of that, we're constantly upskilling our staff in relation to equality, diversity and inclusion issues. But if you do have any issues, please do come to us. Even if you're not sure if it was discrimination or not, or you want to give us advice as to how we can make the university better. We know that the university has to constantly evolve because we are a part of a society that has issues around equality, diversity and inclusion. So we really have an open door in relation to people coming to us, and there are ways to make complaints or to let us know of situations that need to change.
Absolutely. And following through with that principle of leading by example and trying to get our staff to be empowered to also take somebody saying, you know, actually, that was a little bit offensive. You possibly could have, you know, talked about that differently. it's very much a back and forth, a two-way conversation, so we can all improve. Feel free to come to us in an informal basis, and you can raise an issue. Often we can go to a department, have a discussion with them, resolve it that way. And as Sam pointed out, there are formal routes that you can also take as well, which is a bit more structured. But in the first instance, it's more to signpost that we're here, and we've worked very closely with the Maynooth Students' Union and also clubs and societies, for example, with some really good outcomes. So every year we do an annual assurance process. So we're looking at the data in Maynooth, and it's effectively like an audit. We do a staff census, and you'll probably also be asked questions from a student perspective. Data on yourself being very personal is quite sensitive, and so we're going to start an awareness raising campaign about the benefit of giving us that data so that we can improve all of the pillars of work that we're doing, as well as our EDI training and development. We've also got policies, specifically the equality and diversity policy and gender identity and expression. And then we've got a governing authority and academic committee. So all of the feedback that we receive goes into helping make the best practice policies and also helping that committee with updating our work. We have a number of funding opportunities, and this is 30% Club is a gender equality, the Sanctuary scholarships, and then there are the Access scholarships as well. And then we've got a number of networks helping with that community Sandra was talking about, forums and working groups, and the key one, as Sam has pointed out, with the Student Race Equality Forum there. So
just one of the things to note is you'll have gotten a survey in the last couple of days, the Equal Access Survey. We really encourage you to fill that out as honestly as you possibly can, because that survey is really key to us knowing who's present on campus, and it allows us to make changes if we need to, depending on how people are getting on from different groups. So it's probably the most important survey from a student perspective. You get sent it in your first week, but you should have got an email with it.
Yeah. And there's a question about where would you find us to come to us formally or informally. So Sam would have had office hours when we were on campus, and obviously in the digital space we're available by email and then by Teams as well. Sam, do you want to speak to how that might look for this year coming?
So we will be a blended environment for this year. So if you would like to meet us on campus, I'm sure we can figure that out. Our office is in Riverstown Lodge, so we can probably have students to there. But I'm sure that if I ask Matt nicely, we can probably meet in Matt's offices, because I'm aware Riverstown Lodge isn't accessible. So, but also Teams and email. I'm very happy to make myself as available as possible to students. And really, it's just pick up send me a Teams chat, send me an email. I'm happy to talk to anyone anytime.
Absolutely. And we'll put that email in the chat for you there as well. The next slide is the consent slide, and Sam, oh sorry.
We've also got the calendar.
We do also have the calendar, and this is fantastic. So Sam created it. I'll let her speak to it.
So this year we wanted to give something to students and staff that you can use in order to celebrate some of the diversity around campus. So this calendar is, you can put it into your Outlook, and it'll show you the different days that we want to recognize and celebrate. So for example, next week is Celebrate Bisexuality Day, the 23rd of September, as well as International Sign Language Day. We have Traveller Ethnicity Day on the 1st of March. It is as many as we can put in without there being too many. We know that not everything is in there yet, but please, if there's something missing that you think absolutely needs to be there, let us know. So that's just something that you can access yourselves, and the link is on the slide, so we'll send the slides to you after. So this is this is a bit more about our active consent workshops that are on next week that we talked about before. So it will allow you to talk about consent and what non-consent looks like. Understand that consent means that sexual activity is more enjoyable for everyone. and really help to develop a campus culture which is safe, respectful, and supportive. The workshops that we're delivering next week don't involve much participation. There's you don't have your camera on, there's no chat, you can't use a microphone, and it's all anonymous voting. So it's a very safe place to engage, but it's a really important one as you start your college life. And these are all the different supports in Maynooth University as well. So you have all of these numbers are the place to go if you have a problem on campus, whether it's around consent or not. The student services, the health centre, the counselling service. This is a crisis text line that you can get in contact with about anything coming up for you. And you free text MU to 50808. This is the number for campus security if something urgent that you need urgent support on campus. We have a Garda based on campus, and that's their number. The Maynooth Garda station's number is there as well as the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre's 24-hour helpline and Nightline, which is a specific support line for students. So these, feel free to take a picture of this. We really encourage kind of knowing where these are. We also have posters with these details up around campus at the moment. The reason that all third level students are expected to attend a consent class is it's coming from the Minister for Higher and Further Education and Information and Science. I think that's his full title. And so we were asked as a university to make sure that all first year students are offered this workshop and to ensure that as many of them as possible attend. So we expect our students to attend these, and we'd really encourage you to sign up as soon as possible. Classes will be offered at various times over the coming weeks, and as I say, it's 10:30, 1 o'clock, and 6 o'clock this week. And it's just one part of a program of initiatives that we're running to implement the National Consent Framework. And that is the link that you can register at. So it's maynoothuniversity.ie. Even if you just go /EDI, you'll find it. But I don't have access to the chat, which is why I'm not putting links in there. So we spoke a bit earlier on about when you should contact us. And that is, and this is when. So if you think you might have been discriminated against, or you see someone else being discriminated against, and that's on any of our 9 grounds. So that's gender, age, sexual orientation, religion, race and ethnicity, membership of the traveling community, religion, civil status, and family status. And so if you see something or experience something yourself, you can come to us. You can also come to us if you have an idea as to how Maynooth University can get better at equality, diversity, inclusion, or interculturalism, or you'd like to get involved with any of your activities. Or if you'd like advice on equality, diversity, inclusion, or interculturalism issues. So basically come to us anytime, but those are the different reasons you might get in touch with us. So in terms of equality, diversity, inclusion, and interculturalism at MU, you can embrace it in a number of different ways. But we expect that that you treat everyone, students, staff, contractors, and visitors with dignity and respect. And that's in our student charter. So within our student charter, there's expectations that staff and Maynooth University will provide to you, of what we'll provide to you, and what you provide to us. So we hope that you make friends from different places, different backgrounds, and promote the value of equality at Maynooth University, whether that's joining a student society, working on an issue of social justice, and that you join MU Social Justice Week in semester 2. So there's loads of really interesting events that happen that week. And read about equality and bring it into your area of study. Apologies, this is moving on automatically. You can bring equality into whatever you're studying. You can read around equality, diversity, and inclusion issues and bring it into your everyday college work. And I think that's a really amazing thing you can do in university, is let the lens of equality be part of whatever you're doing, whatever you're studying. think about it going, okay, is somebody going to be negatively impacted by this decision that's being made in relation to energy? Or has the author of this study taken into account who they've gotten in their sample? So is their sample a diverse sample? And is that diverse sample taking into account ethnicity? Is it taking into account gender? And just think about it as you go through, and it'll make you a better critical thinker, and it'll make you enjoy your studies more. So this is all of the ways to get in contact with us. We have started to become more active on Instagram and on Twitter. We also have a Facebook page, and there is a Athena Swan website, as well as an Athena Swan Twitter as well, so specific gender equality work. And myself and Gemma both have our emails there as well, if you want to contact us directly.
And please do. We're very approachable. We work very closely with the students, and like that, it is one of the offices where we like to be out and about and learning about what your lived experience is like on campus, so that we can work to improve and also to help make your time with us a success. You can also see there that we've done quite well internationally in the higher education rankings, the impact rankings in reducing inequalities, top 40 in the world, and for gender equality, top 60, and very high in Ireland in that regard. So there's a lot of good work we still need to do, but you're in the right place if you want to come and talk with us about any of this. And also if you want to get involved as a workshop facilitator, we're always looking for more people to help us.
Yeah. Maxi, I'm just going to answer this. As I said, don't have access to the chat. You can put in whatever, you can put in your preferred name for our workshops. In fact, we encourage you to. And the reasonable accommodation question is just if you need interpreters, or if you need support with captions or transcripts around the workshop. We've left an open gender box, so you can put whatever you want in terms of your gender within that box. You can put trans man, you can put non-binary, you can put man, woman, whatever makes sense for you. And so we've left that as open as possible. Perfect. I'm going to stop sharing the presentation now. And
I'll jump back in then. So yeah, I mean, as a staff, I will definitely take this opportunity to say I'm very proud and feel privileged to work in a university that's actively trying to engage in these difficult and vulnerable conversations. And as I work a lot with the MAP ambassadors, we again have taken a Maynooth in general across the nation have taken a very proactive approach to promote these consent workshops. So I would strongly encourage you to get involved. I would strongly encourage everybody to sign up. And it is something that you will be hearing the Access Office promote over the next coming weeks, because it is something that we would like, 100% full engagement and participation. And we will be proactively approaching it within MAP Access and within our Access students. So I think that we heading back to the Miro board, Sam, but again,
yeah,
any forms of communication you want to use, you can use the chat, you can just speak out. But again, I want to bring you back into yourself again, right? Because we've had some information now, we know what that office, the EDI office is and what it does and how to access it. So I want you to really bring it back into yourself. And I'm asking you to have a look, pretend you've gone to bed this evening, you're going to wake up tomorrow, there's been some kind of huge miracle in the world and everything is all great and everything's fantastic, right? So and you come into Maynooth, first day in Maynooth, and you're looking at what does an equal, diverse, inclusive and intercultural university look like to you? So what does Maynooth University, if some kind of miracle has happened and everybody is on the same page and everybody is singing from the same hymn sheet, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Because that's sometimes when we talk about equality and diversity, we forget how it makes us feel, right? And as somebody who was brought up in Jobstown, socially and economically disadvantaged, brought up with by my sisters, gay woman, lots of intersectionality happening right there. So how something made me feel was very important to me, and because how I was feeling will determine where I went, or the kind of people I wanted to be around, or organizations I wanted to get involved in. So what would it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? And then also, if it's something that's not in the university that you've heard over that last presentation, is there something that you would like us to take on board and consider as we move forward into this new space of innovative change and transformational change as a university? So I see some stuff coming up. Having the cracks, definitely very, very important for that. A comforting, safe space, yes. Calm, there's some stuff in the chat there. It says calm and comfortable with a lack of anxiety and panic. Again, that bringing yourself really back into that feeling again of what does an equal feeling look like, and diverse, how am I feeling about this place I'm in? A place where individual needs are met without difficulty. Great. Open discussions. I'll go back to the chat there. It says a place where people can see themselves represented in higher levels. Really like that. And then where that isn't possible, a place where they're accepted anyway. Yeah. A place where everyone has respect for others. No fear or anxiety of something being said to a person. I go back over to the chat and it says a place where you can truly be yourself. So if we have a think about, is there something in Maynooth University that you would like to see us to work towards, right? Because obviously change comes in time, but in Maynooth and as a university, we're always looking to, you know, work towards change and work towards transformational, sustainable change. So not just change for 2 days or change for a week, but very much sustainable. It's a way of living. So is there something that you have seen, like Gemma and Sam have brought you through what they're working on in the office, what they represent right now? Is there something in that you didn't see that you think that you could see or you would like us to work on in the future and as we move forward? Because that would be great too. Because again, we're bringing into that community space where everybody's voice is heard and valued. So we want people's input, and it's very much a collective action here. You know, we don't, there's no real Mayfainers. You know, we like to be collective, a collective approach and work together.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And also, Sandra, and the one that says about sharing each other's stories and different cultural differences, I think that's excellent too, because if you're in a position to be able to do that, you've learned enough to know about a completely different culture, and that's part of it, I think, and that can be through many different ways. We had an excellent suggestion, maybe through food. Maybe the Phoenix restaurant should, you know, embrace some of the days that Sam has in the EDI calendar, and we could have a cuisine way of sharing and expressing celebration culture.
Yeah, and another one was the SU sometimes plays music as part of their events, and one of the conversations at the Race Equality Forum was, well, why is that music always the music of white students? And so the SU was challenged to show greater cultural diversity in the music that it plays, and sometimes that's what we're talking about. It's not necessarily like, some of it is policy change, some of it is that really big structural change, but we can change culture by very small changes, like changing the music that's used.
Yep. And by what we do and what we don't do, and what we tolerate and what we don't tolerate. So that's where I really love that comment as well about the community, and we're all in this, it's all our culture and we perpetuate it. So
can somebody put the link to the EDI calendar in the chat?
Yep. I'm on it.
There's a comment as well about a place where people can see themselves represented in the higher levels, and where that isn't possible, a place where they're accepted anyway. And that's a structural thing that we're working on for a lot of those historical biases or, micro inequalities that have existed have meant that we've got separation at our highest levels or our representative groups, and we're working actively to address that, particularly as the diversity pipeline is coming in, is so diverse. And our classrooms, walking around campus, you'll see it yourselves as well. So that's definitely something that at university executive level, which is the group that I sit on to help run the university, that we're very conscious of in everything that we're doing.
I think that message that's just gone into the chat there, that's a key thing for me. The lifting people up and allowing their voice to be heard. And that's really why the Race Equality Forum was started. So I should say that forum has only met once. There were 22 students there, and from the conversation that we had that day, we developed a report from it with specific recommendations, and there was 8 students involved with developing the session. So they decided what the topics were that we spoke about. They decided what way we'd run it, and we just provided the admin support. And we wrote up the report, and that report was then sent to the Maynooth Students' Union Senate and the EDI committee, which is the subcommittee of the Governing Authority and Academic Council, and it was sent to the university executive to see. So it was key for us that the voices of the students who were affected was amplified without there being additional work to be put on those students. So that was a key part of how we work, and a key part of how we'll work in the future as well.
And we have a question there in the chat, are the staff at Maynooth diverse as well? And the answer is not as much as the student body. And you will see that in your studies and as you're around the campus, but it's something we're very aware of and are being proactive about. So everybody who sits on a recruitment board has to do a recruitment skills training, which includes training on bias awareness and how to work around and mitigate that. And we're also partnering with the Scholars at Risk and the University of Sanctuary to be able to bring people in to the university through different avenues, as well as becoming a lecturer and then going through. Universities historically have been very, we have a slide that we use, which is all green people looking at the same green person around the table going, why aren't we coming up with any new ideas? And because we're a university and we're supposed to be about innovation and exciting new ways of doing things, diversity is really important to us. We need that diversity of thought in order to be able to innovate. So it's something that we're definitely working on. We're not there yet, but one important step is gathering the data so we know what we do have and where there are gaps and where we can put our focus on as well. So.
There's just one thing there that there's a sticky note there that sticks out to me just because it really brings me back to something that was said in a activity or something we had done during the year. It says a place where skin color or ethnic backgrounds have no effect on opportunity. And something I heard throughout the year, and it was said, there's still a controversy of who said it, whether it was Gemma or Rose or somebody else, but it said intelligence had no boundaries. Right, it was just opportunity, and that I think is very much something that we embrace, that we try roll out throughout Maynooth University, that we celebrate intelligence, diversity, backgrounds, perspective, and just give then everybody the same opportunity. So that's just a little small thought from me, just to put it in there. Just it always sticks out. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, Sandra. That was actually Katrina O'Sullivan, right. And her quote was actually used by the minister as well. So it was genius and talent are equally distributed across class, gender and race, but opportunity and access are not. And it's so true. Absolutely, Sandra. I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I've done is I've put into the chat the webpage for the equality, and I think it's the Vice President of Equality and Diversity webpage there, so people can access it and get a little bit more information if needed. So I think we'll wrap up, unless, does anybody have any kind of thoughts, last minute thoughts, comments, concerns, questions? You can put it into the chat or take yourself off mute. And if not, we'll wish you well and enjoy the rest of Launchpad. Some really good stuff happening this afternoon. I know there's a cooking class coming along and there's a cook along lunch. So go over, get involved as much as you can. You would have seen me a lot yesterday. You had to see me on a Saturday, you know, which is great as well. But I think you won't see me for the rest of the day. It's very much student focused, space for you guys to get to know each other and connect and make friends. So enjoy and say thank you for coming to our session and being open and, you know, open to questions. So have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone. It was lovely to meet you. Enjoy the rest of the sessions.